Welcome to another episode of Women in STEM Wednesdays. Thank you everybody for joining. I'll give everybody a couple minutes so we can have a full room. Hi there. Hi Chloe. Happy. Congratulations on your engagement. I'm so happy for you. Okay, we have 50 people. That's enough. So today we have a very special guest, the Stem Diaries, and she is a published author and has published 2 books before graduating. I'm not gonna say anything more. I'll let you tell her. So let me go ahead and bring her up. Hello. I'm waving back at all of you. Hi, Emily. How are you?
Hi, I'm good. How are you?
Good. Sorry, this live always cuts my head. So Emily, I was just telling everybody about you. We're very excited to have you today. We see you very active on Instagram and trying to, make a safe room for all the women out there, young girls who want to join more STEM careers, especially in engineering, right? So I'll let you talk about what got you here. We'll discuss memes. So yeah, why don't you just tell us a little bit about yourself and then we can keep going.
Sure. Hi, everyone. My name's Emily Bayyuk. So a little bit about me. I just graduated Bucknell in May. I studied electrical engineering and I got a minor in Russian. And so all throughout college, I really enjoyed the curriculum. And one of the things that made me the happiest and I took away the most from college was really just starting the STEM Diaries. So what the STEM Diaries is this platform that I created to create learning experiences for young girls to help them succeed in STEM and get them interested in STEM. And so that really started the summer before my junior year. I had created this book in high school that I handwrote and illustrated, and it was actually for a scholarship contest. And the goal of the contest was to get students to create a project that would educate younger students about a topic of their choice. So I created this book. I was really interested in bullet journaling at the time. And so what bullet journaling is, for no one knows what that is, if you don't know what that is, it's like journaling but with pictures and fun illustrations, and it's really just to make it visually pleasing journaling. So I decided to take that concept and turn it into a book to teach kids more of a fun way about circuits and just create more resources for younger students, especially girls, to get them interested in circuits. So I didn't end up winning the scholarship contest, but fast forward, I ended up doing a research project for one of my professors over the summer before my junior year. And I ended up showing my professor this book that I created, and he was like, oh, Emily, have you ever thought about publishing it? I was like, no, I don't know. And he was like, yeah, you totally should. So I ended up publishing it, and it was originally called The Fundamentals of Circuits Made Easy. So this was the original book. And then fast forward to my senior year of college, I ended up writing a second book, and I was like, it was about energy conversion. And I was like, well, I can't really make it The Fundamentals of Circuits Made Easy Part 2. So I decided to come up with a name for it, and thus the STEM Diaries was born. So I published the STEM Diaries, officially launched in January of this year with the 2 books. And since then it's just grown with my Instagram. I created a virtual escape room game, some merchandise. My latest project is an online course just to get high school and middle school students more educated on what STEM is, possible STEM majors they can have in college, and the careers that they can pursue with those majors.
That's amazing. Great. Okay, so we usually start with a meme review, and it is I'm surprised that I don't see any circuits type of memes in your memes, but I did see this one. So can you tell us a little more about that one?
Yeah, so I chose this meme because I feel like math, and like I think this goes for anything that you learn in school, like you can be taught one way and it can be like super challenging and not make any sense, but then if like maybe the teacher like explains one concept differently, or like kind of changes how you think, like presents the information in a different way, like it can be so much easier, or like just click in your brain. So I picked this one because I definitely related to it. I thought vectors in physics, I was like, oh yeah, this totally makes sense. Like you can visualize like velocity, stuff like that. And then like in math, I remember sitting in my classroom, I was like, this is not what I learned in physics. But like it's the same thing, but it's just like presented in a different way. So
I like how you say that you circuits made easy, because that resonates very well with papaya, and because we only hire tutors if they can break it down to you in an easy way. So only if they can teach it in a simple way, they can be hired with us, because everybody can be smart, but not everybody has the ability to to teach or to make it easy for you. And I'm one of them. I cannot make it that easy. I think it's a skill teaching on its own. So it's very, I like it. Now I want to copy it, because circuits was one of my favorite classes in school. I almost switched to electrical engineering, but like I knew I was going to be a consultant, and so I had already switched to industrial from mechanical. So I wanted to ask you, what made you study engineering? So like, what like, were you always like good at math since you were little? Like, how did you end up in electrical engineering?
so in middle school and high school, I loved like my math classes, my science classes, and I loved solving problems. But it wasn't until my junior year of high school I took physics, and in my physics class we learned about circuits, and I was such a nerd. I would stay after with my teacher, and I would be like, his name was Mr. Ludwig. I'd be like, Mr. Ludwig, can you like teach me more about circuits? And I was just like, I was like, give me all the problems. There was something about circuit analysis. I just like it. I loved it. I don't know. I thought it was like solving little mini puzzles. And
Yeah.
anyway, so one day I was after school, and Mr. Ludwig says to me, he's like, Emily, have you ever thought about electrical engineering? Like that's, you deal with a lot of circuits, like you design them. It's like, no, I didn't even know what electrical engineering was. And so I like went home that day, I was like Googled it. I was like, oh, like this sounds really interesting. Like I would definitely be interested in majoring in this in college. So I ended up my senior year of high school applying ED to Bucknell's electrical engineering program. So
Oh, so you
it
got
is,
into the school of choice.
yeah, yep.
Got it.
So
Oh, okay, that's amazing. I'm excited. I'm very excited. Okay, so I didn't know that they teach circuits in high school. When did you start like taking circuit classes?
it was just like a mini unit in my physics class. So it wasn't
Oh,
like a full class of it. It was just like a sub unit in my
okay.
physics. Yeah, like I'm from New York, and in New York like you have the regents, and I think like we had to like all of the physics classes had to take like, oh, regents are like standardized tests for the state. But yeah, I
Okay.
think like that was like part of, that's why we had to learn it in my physics class in high school.
That's amazing. Did you go to a private school or a public school?
I went to public school.
Okay, good, good. Is that an AP class?
I took AP Physics my senior year, but I learned about circuits more so in my junior year.
Got it. Okay, so you always like math came easy to you, science like something that you were passionate about. Which one are you better at, math or science?
Science, definitely.
Really? Okay,
Math,
I'm better with
I
math.
I like I had some rough math semesters in college, but it is what it is, and like, it just matters like the skills that you pick up, and if you don't really understand every single thing in super, super detail, like that's okay. I feel like you move on. Grades, like they're meaningful, but I think the skills that you pick up along the way, like failing, not like failing in a class, but like maybe not doing as well on something kind of helps you learn more skills for the future. So
Okay, so like, what was your hardest class in college?
differential equations.
Ah, that's a toughie. That's a
That
toughie.
was,
Yes.
yeah.
Yeah. I'm better at math and science. Hence why I picked industrial. So okay, but I actually did love. I'm not gonna forget that I love like principles of electrical engineering and electrical networks, and I think it was hard at the beginning because I couldn't like I had missed like my first 2 weeks. So on top of that, there was this I number. Remember that one? Oh, you should, right? Okay, so
I should, yeah.
that was like, and but once I figured it out, I think I loved it. It was like I don't know, like you go through like this like struggle, and then you are like good at it, and then you're like so proud of yourself, you know. And I think that overall, that's engineering. Like you fall down so many times, and like I don't know, like what was the longest that you've spent in like solving a problem?
Oh man, like days. Like we would get like
Yeah.
problem sets in my like math and engineering classes, and it would be like 5 problems, but the professor would give us like a week to do them. I remember like some problems it would be like every day I'd like try to figure it out and like
Yeah,
not get very far at all. But yeah.
I know, but I feel like I that's what I like. I think go back and cherish the most. It's like like your friends, the struggle. Like I
Yes.
remember me and my friend would like take turns sleeping like 2 hours because we had a test the next day. And like I mean, I don't know what was his excuse. I had to work full time through school, but him like I don't know, but like we just like would always do that, or like stay up all night solving like thermodynamics problems. And I remember filling up all the four walls, like I don't know if you have walls with like yes,
The study
and
rooms, yeah.
yeah, and it's still like not figure it out. Like just go to like the I don't know to like the gas station down the street and get some coffee, all defeated, and go back and do it.
Yeah.
But I think that's what. But I loved it. I loved it, and I think that's what gives you uh the confidence that you figure it out, right? Like
Yeah.
any problem, I think I see as an engineering problem. It's like, okay, it's hard, but I know there is a way. Like, so
Yeah.
I like that. Yes. So did you ever have tutors back in like when you had like differential equation problems?
I
Or
probably should have. I did not, but that might have
yeah,
been a move. I just like I remember with like the kids in my class, like you said, like the late hours, all doing the homework together, like
yeah,
trying to figure it out as a team. Like it's definitely a bonding experience, and I feel like that's something that's just like unique to like STEM classes is
mm-hmm.
that you just like it's almost like the professors make them the questions like so hard you can't do it unless like you're working as a team and stuff like that. And that's just like something I really enjoyed doing. Like is working with people as we solve these problems, and it was just like bonding. Like I loved it honestly. Like it was hard, but it was just like you make like such good friends through it.
Yeah, and you help each other, right? Because I remember like there were classes that I was like teaching them, and there were classes that they were teaching me, like my group of friends, and having a group of friends in community at school, it's important. And I think that it's important to feel welcome because I had two experiences. Like I went to community college first, where I think it's mainly consisted of commuters, people that work and go to school at the same time. So I would just go in and out and never have a group. But when I have my group, it's really when I drive to school. And I did have a tutor because I remember I was doing pretty bad at my programming class, and I had already been hired by Accenture, which I know you just got hired. Congratulations on making
Thank
it.
you. Thank
Uh,
you.
yes, I know did they recruit from Bucknell, or is that a target school, or did,
I think I'm the only student from my class going to Accenture actually this year. I
wow,
know
wow.
like in past years they had a lot of Bucknell kids going, but I don't think like this year they had many kids.
Oh, okay, okay. Yeah, I know they have their target schools, and I also didn't go to a school that was a target school. I went in through the through a conference for, you know how there are like women conferences, but there's also Hispanic conferences, and so I got my job through them. But I already have my eyes set that I was going to work at Accenture, like even before, like like I was just like going to get my job. So congratulations on making it there. And so what was I gonna say? Yeah, so having community is important, right? And I think that that's where I wanted to reach this conversation. I know that you are creating the STEM Diaries because you want to have more women feel welcome in STEM careers, right? And creating a safe environment for them. And I think that is important. I don't think I felt like I wouldn't be welcome because I was a female, and that's because like in Peru, I didn't really feel that. Uh, but I did feel like I couldn't be welcome, maybe because I was an immigrant. So, yeah. So tell me about that. Like, what made you wanna create this, like environment for more women, or like, what's like? I feel like that's like the real calling. It seems like you're very inspiring to watch, and like I love that you're doing this for more like younger girls to enter STEM careers. So yeah, can you tell us more about that?
Yeah, so going back to high school when I like first created that book, my first book, I was one of 3 girls in my physics class. And so then that's like also why I created it initially, to get girls involved in engineering. And then this year when I graduated as an electrical engineer, I was one of 3 girls again in my graduating electrical engineering class. It was a small class. It was 13 of us, so like 3 out of 13 were girls, but just like it is a small percentage still, like even though it's a small group of kids to begin with. But yeah, I just like want to help close the gender gap and just like get girls involved, like also just have them see a role model in STEM. And I think that's so important, is for girls at a young age to see women in STEM careers. Like I remember in elementary school, like we would have, I don't know if you had this in elementary school, like assemblies where like people would come in or like give talks and stuff. And I remember like all the STEM like career talk people, they were all like men. Like this one guy, he was an astronaut, he went on the moon. Very cool. But it was just like stuff like that. Like you always saw like these men in these fields, not as many women. So
did that make you feel like not represented, or did you not feel it yet? Like, did you notice it?
I don't think I noticed it when I was younger. And I think it's something like as I've gotten older and like reflected on my past experiences, I've seen it and I'm kind of like, oh, like that would have been cool to see a woman in STEM, like a woman astronaut come to school, and stuff like that. Because I do feel like I wasn't exposed to women in STEM when I was younger. And that's one of the coolest things, I think, about being on Instagram. Like since I've started the STEM Diaries, I've just met so many like amazing women in STEM. Like this Instagram live every week, like it's just awesome. Like,
yes, and that reminds me. I'm sorry, I'm being a bad host for our sponsors, but we usually say thank you to our sponsors, and yes. So first of all, thank you, Eduardo, for letting us use your platform to uh, put the spotlight in women, our own women in STEM, especially in engineering, because I know engineering is guys all about engineering. STEMedia, that is helping us produce the show, and with them you can elevate your STEM journey. And provide a tutor, you already know that you can go get help instead of breaking your head for 5 hours and still not getting the answer to the problems that you're solving. So Thank you, Emily, for reminding me. So yes, Women in STEM Wednesdays. I'm happy that you watch it. So when did you come about this page because Women in STEM Wednesdays, or how do you find Engineering in Sky?
Yeah, I think like
Yay!
every week I would get like so and so's going live with Engineering Memes Guy, and I was like, what is this account? And so
What is
like
this
I would like
account?
watch it, and then I loved it. I was like, oh, this is awesome.
I'm so happy you love it. Yes, yes, yes. We like I told you earlier, like we wanna bring up uh, people who are not usually perceived as engineers, and one of them is are women. So that's why we do this, and that's why I love my male allies, Eduardo and me from STEMedia, who support us. And like I think it's important to have male allies at work. I don't know how it's at school. I i never felt like I was, I don't know, like I felt very welcome once I had my group at school. uh
Yeah.
I think a guy invited me, and after that it was really, like I loved it. I loved engineering. How about you? Like, how do you feel about, because I know that you you're about to start Accenture, but you haven't started yet. So have you ever felt like, any like, have you not felt welcome at school? Have you had any experiences like that?
I've been really lucky and haven't really had experiences like that. I think one of the things I loved most about like Bucknell's small electrical engineering department. So at Bucknell, it was like electrical and computer engineers like
Mm-hmm.
had a lot of classes together just because like our curriculums overlapped, and it was just like so fun because it was so small. Like we all got to know each other really well, and like it was kind of like a family. Like going back to that community feel that we were talking about earlier.
Mm-hmm.
Um, I just like loved it. And it definitely was like a family like vibe, and we would all like do our homework together, and it was nice because our professors really encouraged collaboration like on homeworks and labs and stuff like that. So I just like absolutely loved my experience as an engineering student.
Great, great. And so before we go to the next meme review, and I wanted to ask everybody where they're coming from, what are you going to school for, or what did you graduate with? Yeah, just tell us. Feel free to ask any questions in the live. Emily will be happy to answer them. So let's go to the next one.
All right, so this meme, I liked it because it just like describes engineering so well. Like I think one of the things I like my go-to thing for engineering was like if I didn't know how to solve a problem, I would just like start writing down random equations that kind of like aligned with the problem, but maybe not completely, and then like kind of see where I ended up. I think that's just like probably one of the best skills I learned was like if you get stuck on something, don't just like sit and stare at the problem. Like just start getting your feet wet and do something, and then like it all works out eventually. But yeah, I really like that meme because it was really relatable.
Yeah, it's pretty funny. I wanted to ask you, and we see the audience asking, um, so more about your books. How has that experience been?
My favorite part about like having the books out was just being able to go and like do author talks at schools and like share my story to students and girls and just like hear their questions and learn more about them and hopefully like inspire them. Like I always think to myself, like even if I just inspire one person, like after talking to a class, like I feel like I made a difference. Um, but yeah, that's kind of like I just love talking to classrooms and students about it. So that's been a really cool thing that's come out of having my books out.
That's amazing, and I know as the media asks, like, what do you see for yourself in the future? So I know you got a job with Accenture, cybersecurity consulting, which is pretty pretty exciting. I know it is hard to get in there. And so yeah, can you tell us a little more about that? And how do you like you see yourself at Accenture a long time? Do you just wanna like go in and like work for 10 companies in 2 years and then leave? Like, and I won't tell, don't worry. Do you wanna publish more books? So yeah, tell us about that.
So I do have a third book that's pretty much ready to get published. I haven't released it yet. I'm still kind of just like waiting for
Wow.
some things to settle down. But the STEM Diaries is definitely something I want to continue at Accenture. And just like a little bit background on why I chose cybersecurity and Accenture. So my sophomore year at Bucknell, I did an externship, which is just like a little mini internship with Morgan Stanley cybersecurity team. So like for a day, I got to shadow the team and like go to meetings, and obviously not like hear like classified information and stuff, but like like get a gist for like what everyone on the team did and stuff like that. And so I just like fell in love with cybersecurity after that. And I
What
just felt like
what
it was.
exactly do you like about cybersecurity? Because
I love
everybody watching here.
I love that it's just like solving little like mini Sherlock Holmes mysteries, like kind of like, oh, someone hacked into this device, like you and it's like really cool, like you can use like forensics to figure out like what happened in the device, like stuff like that. I just like love that it's puzzles and stuff. Anyway, so
Yeah.
like after that, I knew I wanted to do cybersecurity, and then my junior year of college, I participated in like a consulting case study, and I really liked the consulting aspect and like being able to like solve problems for different types of companies and presenting your ideas to like client. Because I like dealing with people. Like I don't want to like be behind a computer all the time. Like for
Yeah,
some people,
same.
like that's their thing. Just like for me, like I like interacting with people more. And so then after that, I was like, oh, like maybe I can combine cybersecurity and consulting. And so here I am, like cybersecurity consulting at Accenture. So I'm really excited to start. I start at the end of September.
I'm excited for you. I'm very, very excited for you, for all the people that you're going to meet, all the cool companies that you're going to get to work. So for everybody here, right, I think that not many people know about consulting, and it is my civic duty to educate you. So if you're an engineer and you like talking to people, I think consulting is a good career option because you are a problem solver. Except it's instead of helping one company solve many problems, you help many companies in your young career, and then you can get specialized. So Emily, you have like cybersecurity maybe for high tech, or you want to do it for products, or you want to do it for government affairs, right? So that's pretty cool. Or you can do it for all. So that's pretty cool as well. And I think that yes, no, I'm very excited. You have a very bright future, and yes, I'll be happy to make more connections with you within Accenture. We should have asked them to sponsor this live, huh?
Yeah.
Okay, yes, and so how do you see yourself in the future with with Accenture and in your books? And yes, like tell us.
Yes, because I'm doing cybersecurity, I hope to have more cybersecurity stuff pop up on STEM Diaries, kind of like as I'm learning cool things, sharing it with people. Um, Obviously, I don't think I can do that with client stuff, but just like concepts and stuff like that. But yeah, I'm hoping to integrate some of what I learned at Accenture to the STEM Diaries.
Somebody just said find a way to improve the post office. I mean, I think that we have government as clients. And was and Eduardo asked if your job was it hard? Like how many interviews do you have to do? And then STEMedia will go to your question next.
So, getting my job, I got really lucky. So I did an internship over the summer, so like last summer, summer 2020. I had a remote internship with Booz Allen
Mm-hmm.
Consulting, and I was a machine learning software developer for them. And so I got really lucky and ended up having a job with them after I graduated, but they were in DC and I wanted to stay in New York. So I saw Accenture had an opening in New York for their security, for a security analyst. So I applied to them and I had 3 rounds of interviews. The first one was like almost like a test sort of thing. It wasn't like with a person. And then the second 2 interviews were like with people, which were really cool. And I really liked the people I got interviewed by. Like, it was just really awesome conversations we had. And yeah, so I got really lucky with my interview process, but yeah.
Well, you worked really hard, and I'm pretty sure they were impressed with your published books as an undergraduate student. Did you put that in your resume?
I do, yeah. I did have that on my resume.
Okay, good. And then STEMedia asks, you have a virtual escape room. Can you show us or no? Or can you tell us what it's about?
Yeah, so it's about circuits. And what it is just like to learn about circuits in an interactive way. I think I have a link to it on my website. My website's just thestemdiaries.com. And then I think if you scroll down on the homepage, it's there. But okay. I can also like share a link in the chat later or something.
Oh yes, we're going to. So anybody who's watching and wants to check out the escape room, we're going to post the link in a story after the live. So yes, everybody will be checking it out. So do you have like the book, the Stem Diaries book?
Yeah, so I have the original. So this book, The Fundamentals of Circuits Made Easy, is just the same as the Stem Diaries Circuits book with a different cover. But
that was the rebrand.
I can show you guys. I'm sorry?
Was that the rebranding that you did?
Yeah, so this is just like before the rebranding. It was this one, but the inside is completely the same. So you can see, like, I have a little picture there with some words about voltage. And then this is like my page about batteries, and you can see like the little battery cartoon guy with some diagrams and stuff.
And so did you draw all the pictures, or did you get them?
I drew them.
So you're also an artist.
And then I hand wrote everything too. That's my handwriting if anyone can see it, or if it's too small. But yeah. Yes, I loved creating the books. I find it like so relaxing, kind of like an art project. So yeah, what I do is like I'll initially like research everything, have up like a million pages of notes, and then I'll like go through all my notes and make it like simplified and more concise and stuff like that. And then I'll do like a rough draft of the page, like a pencil version, and I'll go back with like markers and colored pencils and stuff. And
that's amazing. You should invent your own font. The Emily font.
Thank you.
Right? Yes,
the Stem Diaries font.
Yeah. What? So Stem Diaries. Why did you call it that?
So it really came from it's stemmed from the idea that I hand wrote and illustrated these like bullet journal type books. So I like, as a play on the word journal, like diary sort of thing. And so it's the Stem Diaries because right now my 2 books and my 3rd one are mostly focused on engineering, but I eventually like want to have ones about science and maybe math and technology. So like encompassing all of the letters of STEM. So
wasn't there like somebody that would write books as she was growing up? I remember like what was this part of like a movie? Like there was somebody who was writing books at every stage of her life. Like when she was a child, like an adolescent, and a young woman. Maybe that's your next book, like being in corporate and doing cybersecurity. By the way, cybersecurity is an amazing area to get in because it's brand new. As the tech is just growing, tech and digital are growing in an exponential rate. Cybersecurity is highly needed, and there's a huge gap. So it's a very excited area to get in.
Yeah, I'm so excited. I'm so excited that it's just like changing and evolving like all the time, and like new stuff comes out. I really like that it's fast paced and just like constantly in motion. Like I really like that
Yeah,
about
yeah,
it.
yeah. No, I'm excited for you. I'm very very excited for you and to see what you're gonna, do with your career. I mean, yes, I'm very very
Thank
excited
you.
for you. So,
Oh, I see in the comments someone writes, Emily and Sandra have type A personalities. We were just talking about that.
what does that, I mean? Have you been called like that you have an A type personality?
Oh yeah. Yeah, I'm definitely type A. Like very like organized. Like I have my like planner, which now I like just use Google calendars, but it's like everything is like, yeah, very organized.
Uh, so Eduardo, so we have actually invited Emily to join our core as we need help, and she loves, just having more women joining STEM, so it just makes sense. So we just wanted to break the news for you guys that Emily will be joining our team, and she will be doing more of the live, so it will be more of her on my side. So I'm very excited for you. Um, yeah, how do you feel about that, Emily?
I love it. I think it's so fun like watching people's comments pop up. Like that's awesome. I really enjoyed this. Yeah, it was definitely a great first live experience.
I'm excited for you. Okay, wait, let me share your next meme. So you said this was not really a meme, but something that you really like. It says, got a 2.4 GPA my first semester in college. Thought maybe I wasn't cut out for engineering. Today I've landed 2 spacecraft on Mars and I'm now designing one for the moon. STEM is hard for everyone. Grades ultimately aren't what matter. Curiosity and perseverance matters. What do you think about that? Why do you like it so much? Does it resonate? Did you get hit with a bad GPA at the beginning from a 4.0 to, like not a 4.0 anymore?
Yeah, like I mean in high school I was definitely used to like getting A's, like on mostly everything, like having my grade at the end be an A, and then like college I didn't do like terribly. Like I did fine. Like my GPA was fine at the end, but it was definitely like those first few like engineering and physics classes and math classes, I was just kind of like, oh, like getting B's, like not A's. Like it was definitely harder. But then like I think the what made this like stand out to me the most was just like thinking back to my first like electrical engineering class, we had this lab where we had to like have breadboards, which are just like you kind of prototype circuits on them. For people in the audience who may not have heard of breadboards, like before college I didn't really know what a breadboard was. But yeah, so we had these breadboards and like we had a code, and those were two things before college I had never done before. Like I never coded before college, like I never used a breadboard before. And I remember like leaving this lab and I called my mom and I was like, Mom, this is so hard. And I remember being so frustrated, and like the people next to me, like they had all done like used breadboards before and they were just like done within the first 30 minutes, and I was just like, they're struggling. But then like after that I felt like it was such a learning experience for me, like going through the process of like I don't know how to do this, like kind of freaking out, and then like looking back on it, like it just teaches you that like yeah, you're not gonna know how to do everything the first time you do it, and like that's okay. Like you're gonna learn, like you're gonna get better at it. And I feel like that's like I didn't do great in that class, but I definitely like took away skills that like will stay with me forever, and I probably like got more out of the class because I struggled in it than like if everything came easy to me, if that makes sense.
Of course, you learn more from your mistakes, and I think that we have a bad culture of not, you know, celebrating those mistakes, and essentially because you learn from them is that you should celebrate them. Like I don't know if you heard the story of Sarah lately, the CEO and founder of Spanx, which is $1 billion company. So she said that when she was little, her dad would always say, "What did you fail in today?" Because if you're not failing, you're not learning really. So yeah, I actually resonate with that too because my GPA wasn't stellar, and I was like worried when I was interviewing with Accenture because I know where they recruit from. I know that they only got like they have their top 50 schools, and I didn't go to top 50. And I remember going to my professor's office and telling him, "Hey, I have interviews, my final. They're flying me to Washington." This is when, before COVID, obviously.
Before
And
Zoom.
yeah. But they will fly you for interviews, like all the companies, which was like really cool because, like, when you were like a college student, like that was like your first like travel experience, at least for me. Um, so I went to my professor's office and I told him, I was like, "Hey, like I don't have a 4.0. Like I know who I'm competing with." Like, and he said, because I have put myself through school, he said that I think I had like a 3.3 maybe. He said that 3.3 is a 4.0.
I got a 3.32, I
Yeah,
think.
that was my major. So, so so he goes like that 3.3 is a 4.0 because like you have like done school and you have worked through school, so your experience should matter. And and he said, like, just talk to them about that, like be real and be yourself. And I was, and I think like that little pep talk did a lot for me because I was definitely very like, "Oh my God, am I getting lucky? Like how am I gonna pass my interview? Blah blah blah." But I think that pep talk was like, "Okay, I got this," and like I just needed to hear that. So, have you ever had something like that, or is that what you're trying to create with the STEM Diaries, like that little pep talk for women? Or because I see that you do a lot on your platform too, which is the STEM Diaries. Everyone that wants to follow Emily. So yes, if you hit the drop down on the menu, you can follow her. And I know that you post a lot about like just helping women and tips and everything about and for students.
Yeah, so I think what like a pep talk that I had was I had one of my engineering professors. I think I had like in our department there's two women engineering professors, and one of them I was like super close with, and she was just like such a supporter of like my book when I first published it. And so actually, so my second book, which is about energy conversion, actually I ended up taking what this professor's class, and she was like, at the end of the class, we were like halfway through the semester when we were talking about our final exam, we didn't have a final exam for that class, we had a project, but that's tangent. That's one of the other things I really liked about engineering was instead of having exams all the time, like we would have final projects. I don't know if that was like your experience too, having final projects instead of final exams.
So your professor is the one. Which one is that one? The one that told you to publish your first book? Which, by the way, you said that you didn't win the engineering competition, but I think that, I mean, did you want to like message them and be like, "I'm #1 published author in Amazon," or
Yeah,
so?
no, so this professor was a different professor than who I did my research for. But anyway, so I like took her class, and then she like knew about my first book. And was like, "Emily, instead of doing the final project for the class, like, would you want to write another book about the class and like have it?" And she was like, I can use it like when I teach the class in the future. I was like, yeah, sure. Like, I was so excited when she suggested that because, like I said before, I just like find creating these books so fun. So I was thrilled. And so yeah, so that's kind of like the story behind how my second book got created, and yeah, it was just like awesome. So there's like the support I feel like from professors, and like especially like having that woman professor like encourage me to write like a second one for her class. It's just so important, and I think it's so meaningful to build relationships like with professors and just like people in general, because it's just like you never know what's going to come of it.
Yeah, especially if you have a special bond with them. So tell me more about your Instagram. So now do you have a personal Instagram, or is the STEM Diaries like your only Instagram account?
So I have a personal one that's private, and that's like I don't really go on that one anymore. I mostly just focus on the STEM Diaries. Yeah, and
So,
I just like I think it's so fun. Like,
so what do you wanna like? What's your Instagram? Like, if I follow, right, the STEM Diaries, what type of content would I find? Like, what are you trying to portray, and what do you want to make that STEM Diaries brand about?
so the STEM Diaries is really just like to show that engineering can be like, and STEM in general, can be like fun and creative. And so like on the STEM Diaries, I'll share tips and tools that people can use, like whether it's like coding websites to learn how to code, or like projects, or like sometimes I'll just post like those trending like sounds with like an engineering twist to it. I recently, so I went on vacation last week with my family, and my sister is also an engineer. So I was a senior this year at Bucknell, and she was a freshman at Bucknell, and we were both studying electrical engineering. So like when we were on vacation, my sister and I like made reels together about engineering. And so like we did the trending one, like the FAQs about, and then ours was about being engineering students, I think. But yeah.
So your sister is, so how many siblings? Like
just me and my younger sister.
Wow. So okay, so both of you are studying engineering. Is your dad an engineer? Is your mom an engineer? Like, how did it happen? Are your parents like super proud? Like,
they are. So my dad does marketing, and my mom used to do accounting. Like she got her CPA and stuff, but she doesn't work. But actually, so like both my grandpas were engineers. One of them I never met. Like he passed away before I was born. He was a civil engineer. But my grandpa, who's still alive, he lives like, I'm really close to him. Like they were like that side of my family, the ones that are still alive. Like my grandparents, they used to like babysit me and stuff when I was little. So like super close with them. But my grandpa was like one of the like original computer engineers, like before it was even called a computer engineer.
Wow.
He like worked on the big mainframes like in the 60s and 70s. Yeah, so he was like more of my inspiration for like math. Like he was a math major. And so like when I was little, I was like, Grandpa, want to teach me algebra? Because I don't know, I was just like such a little nerd when I was little. But like I still am. I think learning is so fun. But yeah, so like he definitely like kind of introduced me to STEM at a young age, just like talking about his experiences like in college majoring in math, and then also his career was like all STEM.
You know that I had a professor, I think she was my probabilities and statistics for engineering professor. She would make a survey for all like students and ask if you had a family member. And thus far, she said that 80% of the women that join engineering are have a family member that was an engineer. So I think that to your point, this makes total sense, right? Like you joined engineering because you had a your grandpa that introduced you to learning and how fun math was, and it wasn't terrifying, right? My uncle was that for me, and I know that um, I can remember right now Luisa from STEM at Home. I don't know if you met her or seen her in this engineering female community that we have in Instagram, but she also said that her nono, who's her grandpa, introduced her to engineering. So I think this is great. I think that we follow those type of statistics. So it is important to create more representation for women and maybe having ways to introduce them to engineering. So yeah, like my uncle was like that for me. My uncle was studying engineering when I was little, so I would always see him with he had like these rulers. This back in the day, right? So he had these rulers, like these huge rulers, and I remember him staying up all night. And I remember I didn't like to sleep when I was little, so I was always sneaking in his little studio and just stay
Oh.
up with him. So I got lucky like that, that I was, introduced to engineering with him, and he would always make like challenges between my cousins and I. So I know I like it too, and I'm happy you did too. What was your funnest experience with your grandpa? Like what was like the moment you're like, oh my god, I love this. Do you remember?
I don't remember, honestly. Like, I just remember, like, for some reason, I was obsessed with learning, I guess, algebra, like, in second grade. My grandpa, like, loves telling that story to people. But yeah, I don't know. I just, like, always really loved learning. And yeah, I don't remember the first, like, experience, but yeah.
Well, great, great. We love that you do and everything that you're creating. So we're close to our the hour mark. Is there anything? I guess I always ask this question. If you can go back to like one of the hardest times in your, engineering career, what would you tell yourself?
Oh, that's a good question. I would tell myself, like, just push through. Like, there are like times where you're just like, oh my gosh, I cannot like solve this problem, or this class is really hard. Like, and honestly, like, now that I've graduated, like those exams that I did poorly on, like freshman year, sophomore year, like whatever year it was, it's kind of like, yeah, I mean, like, did badly on some exams, but like even now, like I know, like when I got a bad exam, my professors would be like, Emily, like it's not gonna matter in like 10 years how well you did on this one exam. But like even now that I graduated, like it doesn't really matter how well I did on like that one DiffyQ exam that like I didn't do well on or something like that. Like it's just like keep pushing through. Like you're gonna have good days, you're gonna have bad days. Like it's all about getting through, graduating, like learning as much as you can and building up skills, rather than like focusing on getting like that A in every single class and every single exam.
I'm jealous of your professors. It seems like we need more professors like that. I didn't have this. They didn't say like, "Oh, it's okay that you got a bad grade." That kind of. I wish. I wish. So, so, so yeah. So I'm sorry, but I don't think I heard that. Like, so what would you tell yourself? Like, like now that you know this, like now that you know what you know, and if you went back to like the hardest part of your like engineering career, what would you tell yourself?
Oh, just like you're gonna have good days, you're gonna have bad days. Like you're gonna do really well on some exams, you're not gonna do well on some exams, and like that's all okay. It's all about like the learning process and building skills and learning how to like even deal with like failure. Like I think that's something
Mm-hmm.
like important that we all have to learn. Like just understand like it's okay to not do the best on something. It's like just take away from that and do better next time.
Yeah. Yes, and I think that engineering introduces you to face failures head on. very early.
Yes.
Okay, well, so Emily, is there anything else that you would want to tell the audience, um, besides anything that we talked about, anything that I haven't, that you wanted to touch on that I haven't touched on?
I think we covered a lot. If anyone has like additional questions after this, feel free to DM me at the Stem Diaries, or
You can go ahead and write your handle, and I'll pin it so people can follow you. And yes, everyone, follow Emily for more STEM tips, just to see her journey now that she graduated with 2 published books, a third one, and now joining the largest consulting firm in the world.
Thank you so much for having me. This was great. I loved it.
I loved it too, and it was very nice to meet you. Bye, everyone, and have a good night.